Get ready. Let's get dressed.
I know.
Surprise read.
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I know.
And the one. Platform party. Platform
Thank you all for coming. Welcome and thanks to all who are attending such an auspicious occasion, Reed Johnson's fake graduation. Fake graduation ceremonies are a tradition in the Johnson family going back to the one earlier, Bruce's, after he graduated from his medical residency in 1991. After graduating from medical school, there are all sorts of pomps and circumstance, parties, backslapping fun. But residency, arguably the most arduous of medical training, there's nothing. You just check out at the end of your shift and never come back. I thought it was a travesty. So I decided to take matters into my own. On his last day, I had his parents take him out to dinner while friends, fake speakers, fake award givers, and even an interpretive dancer assembled in our backyard. When he arrived with his parents, I walked out to the car, and the first words out of his mouth were, "Heather, I have the shingles." I said, "I'm sorry to hear that, but you need to get in this line." And the ceremony began. Reed, you don't have the shingles, do you? Great. Okay, well, let's get the party started. I want to introduce my favorite daughter, Julianne, who will be the master of ceremonies. Julianne.
Yay, Julianne.
Hello, all, and welcome to Reed's very official graduation ceremony. Thank you all. Yes. Thank you all for coming, and special thanks to Jeff and Joy for their videography, Joe and Karen for their delicious Andante wines, and especially to Christo's for the roof over our heads. Thank you. Now, if you don't know me, I'm Julianne, Reed's older sister. And as the eldest sibling, it has always been my job to blaze the uncertain trail ahead, to make the mistakes and incur the losses that made Mom and Dad say, let's rethink that plan. Therefore, I feel it is only fitting that whereas at my graduation ceremony, under the blazing Poughkeepsie sun, everyone got sunburns, and I got a mild case of heat stroke. Whereas at yours, Reed, the worst possible thing that could happen is that the red wine isn't at cellar temp. All that to say, despite the suffering, I feel honored to continue to go first and speak first in a sizable role tonight as Master of Ceremonies. On this day, celebrating your academic and personal achievements, Reed. Speaking of being first, I'd like to welcome our first speaker, my 3rd and 4th grade teacher. She was yours too, Reed, right? Yeah. Mrs. Schreiner.
All right, hopefully you can hear me okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Bridget Schreiner, and I was Reed's 3rd and 4th grade teacher at Abaquah Academy. When Heather asked me to say a few words about Reed as an elementary school student, I immediately began reflecting on my impressions of Reed. I remember Reed being creative, so funny, kind, and always enthusiastic about what we were learning. However, this was 16 years ago, many hundreds of 3rd and 4th graders later, so I thought it might be important to check historical documents to verify the accuracy of my memories. I have in my possession an intermediate progress report dated May 26, 2006. Here are a few choice selections about Reed. As a creative thinker, Reed expresses himself confidently, passionately, and with sensitivity. He has a wonderful sense of humor, which is reflected in all that he does. Reed is very comfortable trying new things through drama, art, and music. He really has no limits, which speaks to his confidence and willingness to step outside his normal comfort zone. His expressions are priceless, and this encourages his friends to be more animated as well. We have relied on Reed to provide a strong example for risk-taking and adventure. He has never disappointed us. Rather, he has inspired all who know him. As a collaborative worker, he frequently helps others without doing the work for them, and he unifies individuals through his enthusiasm and healthy work ethic. He shares responsibilities willingly and honors different ideas. As a self-directed learner, Reed constantly seeks out opportunities to improve himself or his classroom environment, and this quality most certainly comes from his own tender heart. In the speaking and listening category, public speaking is one of Reed's many strengths. We see him as a future leader and an accomplished communicator. He is rounded out by the fact that he is also a respectful and active listener. Our future expectations for Reed. He is a ray of sunshine embodied in a respectful and eternally positive learner. He is a model of compassion, helpfulness, and kindness. Reed's lifelong adventure as a student will no doubt redefine any limits already set. Heartfelt congratulations to Reed. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Mrs. Schreiner. Up next, you might know our next speaker from her impressive ceramic snake empire, or, if you're a longtime fan, her ability to create a larger-than-life backdrop for the Abaquah holiday concert at the drop of a hat. Welcome, Miss Vaughn.
Well, I didn't write reports like that in middle school. That's amazing. It's a really hard act to follow. I don't even have the reports I wrote in middle school. So I taught Reed art at Abaquah for a lot of years. So Reed rolled into Abaquah, bouncing along behind the shiny bumper of Julianne's car in the fast lane. This would deter some kids, especially as middle schoolers, make them feel that they were in the shadows. But as a 6th grader, Reed walked into every classroom with a bright bounce in his step and a super broad smile. And by 8th grade, he was quick with comedic comebacks, inquisitive in class, and thoughtful with his process, whether it be art, social studies, theater, or lunch. He attacked assignments with curiosity, humor, and true engagement. To his middle school peers, Reed was a constant beacon of positivity and brightness. Middle school can be tricky. It's a tricky time. We all know it's a real mix. Sometimes it's awkward, sometimes it's hard. It can also be like really delightful and exciting. And as Reed's teacher in middle school, I was so proud to watch him become genuinely more and more himself over those 3 years. He didn't let middle school be awkward or hard. He just made it more who he was. So cheers to rockin' middle school. And because that is actually a mighty, mighty feat.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Our next speaker, who was high school English teacher Nicole Tassoni, molded the minds of adolescent Reed and Julianne in countless ways. She told us that we'd be so thankful to have the opening lines of Homer's Odyssey memorized in ancient Greek so that we could impress our friends at cocktail parties. Is this that cocktail party? Unfortunately, Nicole can't be with us tonight, but in her honor, I'd like to watch Reed attempt any recitation we purportedly memorized in high school. Reed.
Yeah, I think it's only fitting that I try the one that's in ancient Greek. That way no one can actually determine if I've gotten it wrong. Is this thing on? This thing is on. So at some point, I'll probably like kind of start gazing out into the distance, and the pauses between the nonsense will extend, and that'll be when I'm kind of making it up, I guess. So to see if it's towards the middle or the end. Andra poenepe musa polutropo mosala pola platane epi toy kieron. Okay, now I'm realizing I don't actually know one ever. That's I guess that's all.
Yeah, good thing Nicole's not here. Yeah. Our final speaker before academic prizes is quite possibly the primary reason why Reed emerged from Hamilton College alive and even well-adjusted. Welcome, dearest friend, Martha.
Thank you. My name is Martha. I am so happy to be here tonight in celebration of Reed. So at the end of the summer, upon finishing his master's degree in German studies, Reed left his year in Bavaria and immediately arrived at my house in Syracuse, New York, giving me the great honor of reintegrating him into American life. So we spent the week eating ice cream, we drank bad and expensive beer, and we ogled the Title IX and chocolate milk themed butter sculpture at the Great New York State Fair. We also spent one morning preparing balloons for my partner Emma's 30th birthday party. And we found ourselves with half-inflated balloons on our fingers, writing a poem on the back of a European deli catalog. Reed and I have had this always fun relationship since we met on the first day of freshman year at Hamilton College. He lived next door to me. He was amazingly tall and immediately funny. He laughed so loudly, and he had this beautiful long hair. And right off the bat, he told me that it's actually pronounced Oregon. So far, we've had 8 years of dancing, making funny faces, doing impressions, general glee and merriment. So that morning when we were blowing up balloons, I was waving my fingers with balloons on them in the air, and I asked Reed how he thought we had changed since we first met. I said that I thought his self-confidence had grown, and he said that he thought I had always had the best qualities, and I've only gotten better. But thinking back, I feel like we were actually like holding up a mirror to each other. On the face, it seems like Reed is the kind of person who good things just happen to. He didn't even have to apply to graduate school. Everyone just liked him so much that they invited him to join. People love to be in Reed's presence and to do things for him, and everyone feels a connection with him. But I think the reality of Reed's stumbling good fortune is more effortful than he lets on. He's the kind of person who, as David Foster Wallace described, has renounced the throne of his tiny, skull-sized kingdom. He chooses to pay attention, to put in effort to caring about other people. He has an awareness of what is real and essential and hidden in plain sight, and he exercises it over and over every day. I think that's part of what makes Reed so funny, too, is that he applies an embodied compassion to see through the fog and into someone else's complex and real existence in the world. He understands the certain universality that's required of a joke, and he understands what other people think and feel. After a week at our house, Emma said that Reed's jokes were never once annoying. He makes friends wherever he goes because he tries to. His humor is built on true empathy, and it makes people feel good. Continued friendship with Reed feels so special because the best person in the world keeps choosing to spend time with me. It was and still is so validating. His presence has brought me out of myself and into a more joyful and fulfilling way of existing. Being friends with Reed is just so much fun. I always think of Reed when I'm faced with a fork in the road, how he would choose perhaps the initially more trying path because it would eventually be the more fruitful one. To see him do this is similar to seeing him fly through a book in German. He just understands something that most of us don't. For the first few years after I graduated from college, I worked in a stable and generally fine office job. But then I decided to quit and work on fruit and vegetable farms while living in a barn with no running water. And that was a decision that I made with a little Reed sitting on my shoulder, telling me to do what I actually wanted to do and giving me the confidence to do it. And seeing Reed make decisions that made absolutely no sense until they absolutely made sense showed me that risks are rewarded through patience. I pulled millions of weeds and hauled thousands of buckets from a well, and I griped about being tired and sore for so long. But I was also learning how to talk to people in meaningful ways and to see outside of just my narrow self. And then I noticed that good things just started happening, and they had always been happening. And everything began making sense because I was learning to exercise an awareness of the unsubtle and obvious circumstances of life around me. And I saw that this is what Reed had been doing the whole time. And every day it's reaffirmed to me that that kind of effort is really worth it. So after Reed left Syracuse, the people who didn't get to meet him would ask about him, and I would say that he is 7 feet tall and the funniest person ever. And only one of those is an exaggeration. I would describe how good things always happen to him and will keep happening to him because he invites people in at every turn. So Reed, I'm so grateful to be your friend.
Thank you, Martha. Now, for the big money portion of our program tonight, academic prizes. Up first, we have chef, emergency preparedness guru, and mushroom aficionado, Flo Miller.
Well, I'm so honored to be up here to present Reed Edward Johnson with this award for his excellent and outstanding performance in mushroom foraging. More importantly, Reed's generosity and kindness to his fellow foragers, contributing to their baskets when they come up short of their bounty, shows the kind of mushroom etiquette that sets an example for future foragers. Reed, would you stand up, please? Reed receives an extra recognition for succeeding in what most foragers fail to do, and that is to find his lost mushroom knife in the fading afternoon light. Excellent work, Reed. My final thoughts for Reed as he forages on into the future wildernesses is to remember that mushroom knives may come and go, but at the end of the day, it's all about the experience.
Oh man, Band-Aids. And a mushroom knife.
Yeah.
Bravo. Go forth and forward.
Our next award is presented by the multi-talented Ms. Vaughn.
I'm presenting you Reed with the Roy G. Biv Award. The world is your color wheel.
Our final award tonight is being presented in absentia from career coach, author of over 10 books, and Dr. Dawn Asher, PhD. I'm the one in charge. I'm the I don't know. So these are Dawn's words for you, Reed. As you embark on this journey called life, upon completing one of life's most important accomplishments, the demarcating point of which separates all that went before from all that is to come, remember that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with but one step. Which way, you may ask? The goals and activities of others should not concern you. Your journey is but yours alone. But there are some wise guidelines laid down by those who went before you. When you come to that point in the path where there is a fork in the way, where one way is well trodden, clear, and leads to a nice pub with wonderful sandwiches and craft brews, and the other way is overgrown with weeds and brambles, lined with snakes and the hint of lurking bears, ask yourself, which way would Dad go? And you have your answer. Always wear sunscreen because a 3-hour tour may become an unending series with reruns well beyond the end of your natural life. By following wise advice, one may arrive at some point. For example, some people say too many cooks spoil the broth, and others say the more the merrier. So relying on the wisdom of sloganeers can lead to analysis paralysis. And yet, young graduate, you cannot sit there at that fork. So call in an airstrike, break that fourth wall, and avoid cliches like the plague. That's my advice, and I am a doctor. So in recognition of countless wild goose chases behind and ahead of you, Reed, I am honored to present you with the Fork in the Road prize. Yeah. Well, our commencement speaker tonight, who you've all been waiting for, is someone we all know well and who needs no further introduction. That tall guy in the fluffy robes, Bruce Johnson.
Good evening. I am this evening's commencement speaker. Unaccustomed as I am to commencement speaking, I consulted several helpful websites on commencement speech construction and believe I have put together a superlative example of this fine oratorical art form. I'll annotate the speech so you can follow along with the general style and construction. Feel free to take notes to make your job easier when you are next selected as the commencement speaker. First, the thank yous. Thank you, Julianne, for that lovely introduction. Thanks to Michael and Lisa of Christo's for this excellent venue. Thank you to Jeff for doing what you're doing right now. Thanks to Joe and Karen. Thanks to all of you for coming. And thank you especially to Heather, who cooked up this whole show and also produced Reed originally. To those of you who don't know me, I'm Bruce, the commencement speaker. It's my pleasure to welcome this class of 2022, his former teachers and mentors, or tormentors, his friends, acquaintances, family members, and people simply here for the wine and pizza. All of you have had a part in shaping the character of this singular academic class. As I stand here, gazing out over the smiling face of this class of 2022, I'm reminded of the warm bonds that I have maintained with my own classmates over the years. Reed, you may need to take a variety of selfies while wearing different hats to get the same effect. But I'm sure these self-friendships will be lasting and rewarding. Now, an opening aphorism or two is recommended to soften up the audience and increase their tolerance for the long-winded and possibly maudlin sentiments to come. You may have heard about the Powerball payout of over $1 billion that had more people playing lately. Ambrose Bierce said, "The lottery is a tax on people who are bad at math." He also said, "War is God's way of teaching Americans geography." We then move to inspirational quotes, a way of parasitizing the brilliance of our forebears. Mark Twain said, "You meet people who forget you. You forget people you meet. But sometimes you meet those people you can't forget. Those are your friends." He also said, "Good decisions come from experience. Experience comes from making bad decisions." Can't argue with either sentiment. Shifting gears to German philosophers, I'll provide two more pithy quotes. Immanuel Kant said, "There are two things that don't have to mean anything. One is music, and the other is laughter." Finally, Friedrich Nietzsche advised, "Become who you are." This class of 2022, Reed, has been becoming who he is all his life. The great themes of his life have been humor, music, intellect, and adventure. He started as a joke-telling savant at age 3, delivering jokes of great style, although lacking completely in substance. They were shells of jokes to be filled with animate punchlines, later scaffolding on a nascent structure of humor, and wit to be built over the next 20-plus years. He now displays not only great conversational repartee, enlivening any dinner discussion with clever and often inappropriate digressions, but is capable of delivering epic, classic jokes like, "Manny and Danny go to Manhattan from Brooklyn to break into the theater business." Yeah, it's quite possibly the greatest joke of all time. Even better than the Aristocrats. Another love and passion for Reed has been music. He started as a backup dancer for the corrido singers heard on Luis the Gardener's transistor radio, hung in a nearby tree while he worked. It was kind of like this. These early dance moves were primitive, but evocative, and likely the reason his sister took up ballet. He developed an impressive vocal style, reaching a pinnacle at age 4 when he sang a duet of Sergio Mendes' classic Never Gonna Let You Go with his friend Celeste. The power of his voice was chilling, possibly because he was using an ice cream cone as a microphone. He bypassed the piano, seeing its constant torment of his sister, and picked up the guitar. Through diligent practice and a string of good teachers, as well as a brief stint in a Flight of the Conchords cover band with his friend Michael, he became the thoughtful, expressive, competent, and friendly young guitarist he is today. Currently, he's studying with Dan Ballmer, a jazz guitarist who's been wearing a beret since the pre-affectation days. Dan has helped Reed develop his smooth jazz sound, the Kenny G of the G string, as we like to refer to him around the house. Under Dan's tutelage, Reed is now able to play more notes than one person can easily listen to, and yet always seems to have a few more. I don't really understand music, but he looks and sounds like he knows what he's doing. He tells me he's turned down a few recording contracts already. Apparently he just needs a new guitar. What has really distinguished this class during their master's experience has been adventure. Every member of the class here tonight has sought out and reveled in adventure. The school in Boulder, Colorado, I'm told that it's near John Denver, allows for a variety of academic, and that one didn't land too well, academic and para-academic activities. Not content with the thrill of teaching a first-year German class over Zoom to disinterested freshmen likely not wearing pants, he began rock climbing, trail running, bicycling, and backpacking, usually with his Brit friend James. I suspect he had a number of near-death experiences that he never told his parents about, probably like many in this room. Seasonal skiing was also possible, with the slopes just 35 minutes away by campus bus. That never seemed quite fair to me. In his second year, before decamping to Deutschland, Reed was enlisted into a local indie rock band named Sunner, spelled with 4 N's. The band, this is true, the band had a particularly aggressive style of play. Some of their songs are available for play on SoundCloud and include Commiserate, Last Try, Bad, and Death. Also true. He told about a gig they had at the Boulder Saturday Farmers Market, booked at 10 a.m. They had moved the stage into the middle of the market after complaints the past week that you could barely hear the folk band playing way in the back of the market. The booking agent may not have listened to their music or noticed the number of N's in their name. Reed described it as, you know when you're watching a scary movie and you know that something really bad is going to happen, but you don't know what? That was us. The neighbor across the street complained about the noise. The band turned it down, and the neighbor complained again. Not a fan of the Sunner side of the street, apparently. Reed spent his third and final year in Regensburg, Germany, honing his intellect. He studied German literature, often described as the fun, light literature. The German language is well known for its compound nouns, complex sentence structure with split verbs, coordinating and subordinating conjunctions, and lots of little dots over the vowels. He read by candlelight in the evening, often burning through 1 candle per paragraph, with some of the paragraphs only 3 or 4 words long. Despite these difficulties, with an ear for the harsh and discordant sounds of the German language that was likely fostered by his brief stint in the Boulder band, Reed was able to master the German language and was often taken for a local, although this was likely as much due to his beer-drinking prowess as his language skills. Of course, Mark Twain spent some time in Germany and was able to communicate in both written and spoken language. Mark Twain said, I went often to look at the collection of curiosities at Heidelberg Castle, and one day I surprised the keeper of it with my German. I spoke entirely in that language. He was greatly interested, and after I'd talked a while, he said my German was very rare, possibly unique, and wanted to add it to the museum. In Germany and its neighbors, Reed was further able to indulge his sense of adventure, going on several hut-to-hut hikes in the Alps. These are like backpacking trips without the backpack, and with hot meals and cold beer at the end of each day's hike. Some of these would include Via Ferrata, the iron paths up steep pitches assisted by cables and iron rungs in the rock. I guess that's why they don't serve beer at breakfast. Probably the only reason. He skied at Garmisch-Partenkirchen with friends from Spain, toured Portugal, Italy, and Corsica. He even entertained his father on a visit last year. My attempts at speaking German served to further build his confidence in his language skills. Where Mark Twain's German was unique enough for a museum, mine would be institutionalized as the ravings of a madman. But with Reed's assistance, I was able to order dinner and find the bathroom. Throughout all this schooling and adventure, he never contacted COVID. I marveled at that feat, even with the time spent in those crowded German classrooms. I realized it was all due to the frisches Luft, fresh air, and that I hadn't actually ever seen evidence of him inside a classroom at all. Much of a good education these days is picked up on the street. Humor, intellect, adventure, and guitar. Strong elements to draw upon as you continue the journey of life. Combining these in new ways will provide the path forward. Imagining life as a symphony, you've got the chance to be both composer and conductor, working through the discordant movements surely ahead, enjoying recurring melodies of rewarding work, meals with family and friends, and the occasional guitar interlude. We will all have tickets in the cheap seats, watching and listening from afar, talking among ourselves at times, but always listening for something moving, engaging, or profound. Alternately, taking life as a journey, get out into the world, delve into the unknown around the next corner or over that hill, climb the iron road to the hut with the exceptional view, swim the rivers, lakes, and oceans. Above all, enjoy the ride, and remember, if nothing bad ever happens, how you remember the trip. I'm confident that the symphony will be grand, the trip rich and rewarding, and that you're destined to do great things with good people. Finally, to quote an old German proverb, alles hat eine Ende, nur die Wurst hat zwei. Could you tell us what that means, Reed?
Everything has an end.
Only a sausage has two. Everything has an end, only a sausage has two. Thank you for allowing me to address this august crowd on this November night.
Thank you, Bruce. Final remarks tonight will be delivered by my lovely mother and the reason we are all gathered here, Heather.
Thank you all for coming. To echo what Bruce said, you've all contributed such love and support to our family, and it is greatly appreciated. To Reed, we apologize for being inveterate liars of the highest degree, but faced upon the people on stage and the audience, because they're complicit as well. Complicit, yet out of love for you. The hardest part of planning this party, to borrow a Republican term, was message discipline. Getting the story straight. You have no idea how the message was massaged over the past month. How many scenarios were entertained, dismissed, re-engaged with a new twist. How we casually dropped hints of what was up, getting you off work on Sunday. How Dad was picking up his African suit in Portland on Saturday afternoon. How we were meeting Bill and Annie for dinner tonight at Christo's. We were still working out new possible scenarios up to yesterday in case somebody else spilled the beans. In reality, it would have been me. But the best part of planning this was knowing you had no idea. We all love you, Reed. This is your night. Enjoy. Thank you. Oh my God. Sorry, one more thing. May I present Reed's graduate school diploma? You're all released to go get food.
Speech.
Be interesting. Yeah, I'll try a different language, I guess. But I think it would be. Yeah, you've seen my ancient Greek. That's about the extent of it, I guess. And I don't actually know what I'm saying in that speech. Something about an odyssey, long trip. Well, unsurprisingly, I didn't prepare any remarks. Because I was not really expecting this. Even though my mom had said that she wanted to throw a party, and she wanted to throw it soon. And this is soon. And really all signs now point to it, I guess. And I can't believe that I overlooked all of them, willingly or unwillingly. So, what do you normally say? Well, thank you all. You want to? I'd like a long laundry list of thanks of people you don't know. No, I don't actually have anyone to. No, of course. No, this is very touching. This is, I think I'm in a state of shock, mild shock, so I can't really perhaps express it with my face, which is like kind of sealed into like some, I don't know what it is, what my face is doing right now. But it does sort of feel like I've been injected with Botox or something. So everything's kind of, I think that's all that I have to say. It's only fitting that it would be here at Christo's. I love the pizza here. I'm going to do a shill. I guess I could do a shill for Christo's. You should all get the Napoli with prosciutto. You hold the prosciutto until the end. You don't put it in the oven. I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say. It's not really as eloquent as everyone else's speech, but you'll have to... Can't fault me, I guess. I wasn't prepared. Yeah. The end. Das Ende.
Christo.